1 second. Okay, great. So the recording has started now. So again, I'm Claire. I'm the exchange officer from the BSCBA program. And today we're going to cover 3 main topics about coming to the Netherlands and to Nyenrode as an international student. So we'll cover a little bit about our campuses and student life at Nyenrode, some general topics about living in the Netherlands and some practicalities, maybe immigration, phones, things like that. So it will be a lot of information. There will be a lot of links. But like I said, everything will be on the website later this week, so you can go back and take a look. But don't worry too much today about totally getting the whole picture, because we have quite a lot that we'd like to share with you. And like I said, I'm a staff member, so I will be giving you some advice, but also as an expat myself. I'm from the US and I've lived in the Netherlands for 2 years now, so I've gone through some of what you're going through now. So I hope that my advice is helpful. But then, like I said, we will also have some current students here to give you some information about being a student at Nyenrode. So we have a lot that we're giving you today, but what about you? Yeah, I think everyone's already muted, but that's really nice for everyone, so everything's clear and you can hear me well. Cameras are definitely optional, it's up to you, but it is nice to see some faces, so if you'd like to turn them on, that's very nice, but like I said, we're being recorded. Yeah, and then like I said, we have a ton of information, and if you have a question at the beginning, probably I will answer it by the end. So at the end, we'll have some time for questions, but if they pop into your mind during the webinar, you can always write them in the chat, and then we will get to them at the end. So we are going to start this morning a little bit about our campus and student life, like I said. And I will just tell you quickly about the connections and details of our campuses. So we do have our city campus in Amsterdam, really beautiful location right on the canals in the heart of Amsterdam. Yeah, on one of the really big canals actually here. So of course it's very, very connected. You have to walk a little bit, but you can take the metro or the trams from Amsterdam Central Station. But there's quite a lot of connections to get here. And as we'll talk about in a little bit, there's also housing offered here through our domain, which is also very connected with the Diemen-Zuid station. I am assuming that most of you have already figured out the housing, or you have housing already on the campuses, but I just wanted to put it here in case. And then, of course, we have our larger Breukelen campus, which is located between Utrecht and Amsterdam. There is a train station in Breukelen, so there are connections from Amsterdam, Utrecht. You can get here from the airport and everything. And then there's a bus that connects you directly to the campus from the train station. And as you all probably know already, we do have on-campus housing, which is really nice with lots of facilities. You can see there's gym, laundry, restaurants and cafeterias, a coffee shop, library, student lounge. There's lots of things. Like I said, we kind of assume that you already have housing figured out or you know where you'll live. But of course, if you do have any specific housing questions, you can contact the campus department at campus@nyenrode.nl. So let's move on to our presentations from current students. So Joep, and I'm not sure if Floris is here yet, but he goes after Joep. So Joep is going to be telling you a bit about the Breukelen campus and the student association in Breukelen called the NCV. And Floris will be telling you a bit more about the student association JCW in Amsterdam and the campus there. So with that, I will put it over to Joep.
Yes, Claire, thank you for introducing me. So my name is Joep Touwes. I recently passed my second year of the Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, and I'm now going to my third year. So most of you who are going to Breukelen, I will be in class with you as well. So we will have a fun time. But I'm here today to talk to you about the new Compagnie van Verre, which is the student association in Breukelen. So about us, we were founded in 1947, so that's actually 1 year after Nyenrode was founded, and it means that we exist for 76 years already. So we have a lot of norms, values, and traditions which we hold. We are located in Breukelen, and we entail 41 committees. And a committee is a group of people where you can get member of, and you organize, for example, something, a party or something. I will elaborate on it later on as well. Then I will walk through all the different categories of committees. And we have around 300 members, so that's quite a lot, who are all living on campus. And that's what most of the students say, that it's quite intense, since you wake up together, you go to class together, you go to the library together, and you party together. So all the committees which we entail, the different categories. First of all, we have the board committees. So, for example, on this picture, you can see the board of the association. I'm actually part of the board of the association, so you can see me on the right. But we have 4 other board committees. We have also, for example, the campus committee board, who is responsible for optimizing everything regarding campus life. Then we have guardians of the norms, values, and traditions. And I'm shortly running through the committees, so those are not all, but you will receive a booklet with all committees once you arrive on campus. But the ones which I'm telling you right now are most of the time the most important for you. So within this category, you can see the Zolderbar and the Kelderbar. So those are 2 bars which are on campus. So we have the Zolderbar, and that will probably be your favorite bar since it's opened throughout the weekends. Most of the Dutch students go to their home place during the weekends, I think around 70 till 80%. So on campus, it's not that busy. But luckily, the Zolderbar is open. So all the students who stay on campus usually go to the Zolderbar for a chat. And that's also a nice way to meet new students who you haven't seen before throughout the week, since it's quite busy. And we have the Kelderbar, which is currently closed, but which is hopefully opened once you arrive on campus. So we're working hard on that. And this bar is opened throughout the week, so from Monday to Friday, and it's actually in the basement of the castle, so that's really cool. Then we go on to the campus facilitators. And campus facilitators, the name itself already states it. Those are committees which facilitate something for campus. So, for example, in this picture, you can see 6 people before a building, and this building is actually the cook tent. So that's actually the grocery store of campus. So once you get to campus, you will become member of the cohort chat, which is the chat in which all the students talk. So when you see cook tent requests, you can say +1, and when there is enough animo, so enough people say +1, usually 5, this supermarket opens, and you can just buy daily stuff like pizzas, noodles, and stuff like that. Then we go on to the event committees, and this is actually really fun, especially for you as well, since you will arrive in August. And 2 of the biggest events of campus will happen when you are in the Netherlands. So on the left, in the left corner, you can see Decentales. This event has already taken place this year, which is a boxing gala. But the 2 pictures on the right still needs to happen. So on the right, we have Jazz Night, which is a gala which is organized on the 11th of November. So you can put it in your calendar already. And in the right bottom corner, we have Tuinfeest, which is a big festival. I think that around 700 people will come, and famous Dutch artists will perform. So that's actually really cool, and I think that's the biggest party on campus in the Netherlands. And Tuinfeest is also, those tickets are available already. So when you go to the site of the NCV, you can already check it out. And the lineup will be shown in a few weeks, or will be reviewed throughout the weeks. Then we also have business committees. And one committee which is really famous amongst the international students is the Zilveren Rijder. And that's a committee which is managing the largest students managed fund in Europe. So I think they have a fund of 300K which they are managing. So that's actually really cool. And on this picture you can see Ondernemen Nyenrode. That's a committee. It actually means entrepreneurs. I've been part of it last year as well, and it was a great experience. But for example, both the Zilveren Rijder and Ondernemen Nyenrode are organizing guest lectures for you, which you can attend. And Ondernemen Nyenrode is also hosting a podcast. Unfortunately, it's in Dutch, but it's quite cool since they have been interviewing the CEO of Heineken and the founder of Amsterdam Vintage Watches. So maybe we can do it in English next year. And last but not least, we have a category sport committees. So there is no reason not to stay fit once you're in the Netherlands. So as you can see, we have rugby, hockey, football, tennis, golf, rowing, sailing, skiing, a ski trip. And we have a gym which you can access most of the time 24/7. And the most famous sports here on campus are rugby, hockey, and football. And trainings are organized mostly every week. And you're just free to join. You don't have to, but you can do if you want to. And the most important contact point for you, I think it's important first to say that we're currently busy with the buddy system. So Claire recently sent an email to you, and some people said that they wanted a buddy who is guiding you through Breukelen, through the first weeks of campus and the next upcoming months. So we hope to finalize it this week. And you will be put in a group chat with all international exchange students, so you can get to know each other already before you get to campus. And then the contact points, one of those committees, a campus facilitator as well as NUC, Nyenrode United Committee, who is working on the integration between Dutch students and international students and the integration itself. That contact point is Yvette Schuurmans. She has been mentioned in an email before by Claire. Then we have here 5. Your contact point is Joep Toebes. So that's me. So when things go beyond the practicalities of NUC, then you can step to me. You can always step to me, but most of the time, for more serious matters, then you step to me. And once you want to talk about things concerning your own private life or stuff at home which you're dealing with, and you don't want to talk to someone from NUC or to me, then you can step to the trust persons as well. And those are Maxime den Hertog and Erik Keuping, and they will be introduced to you later. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to contact me. I'm in the email of Claire as well. So overall, campus life in Breukelen is a really good place to develop yourself. So since you get a lot of opportunities, it's a place to have fun, to try new things, to experience this intense life, and to enjoy. And what a lot of students say, both Dutch and both international students say, that it's really intensive since you're constantly with each other and constantly on campus with each other. But overall, I really look forward to see you guys on campus, to meet you, and have fun, because I think that this is going to be the best 4 months of your study time.
Thank you so much, Joep. Really nice presentation. I know that Joep has to go to another meeting. He's a busy guy. So does anyone have questions about the Breukelen campus or the student association before he leaves us? You can use audio or say something in the chat.
Hey, this is Harsh. Thank you for explaining that. Just got a quick question. So this is for the Brooklyn campus, right? So if I'm on the Amsterdam campus, I'm assuming it'll be too far away to make anything happen, or how does that work?
Usually the people who go to the Breukelen campus will get an extraordinary member of the NCV, so this student association, and all students in Amsterdam will get member of the JCV, which Floris will explain about later on. So that's quite separate, but there are some events which are organized together. But those are just, I think, 2 or 3 events at most when you're in the Netherlands. So that's only a few activities.
Okay.
But you are allowed, for example, to go to the bar in Breukelen.
Okay. Yeah, that's
And I will talk a bit about the Amsterdam campus as well right after this. So you'll have more information about that student association too.
Right, because I'm trying to estimate like the distance between Amsterdam and surrounding areas because I haven't been there yet. So that's the reason I asked. But that was great. That was a great summary of what it was. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and from like Amsterdam, it's like I think a 25-minute drive by train.
Right.
Yeah, it is. It's all pretty close. It's a small country, so nowhere is that far away, I think. So yeah. Any other questions, Harsh?
That's it for now. Thank you.
We'll talk a lot more about Amsterdam in a second here. So thank you very much. Yeah.
Cool.
I don't see any other questions in the chat or something. Does anyone else have a question for Joep before he has to leave us? That doesn't look like it. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Joep, for being here. You're welcome to stay a little bit, of course, but I know you have to run. So yeah, thank you very much. I see you. Bye. I don't think that Floris has been able to join us this morning, but I am definitely ready to tell you a little bit about Amsterdam and the JCV, which is the student association here in Amsterdam. So yeah, Floris is not here today, but he is the secretary of the JCV. So of course, if you have any questions, you can always look him up, but I will show you later as well the Instagram of the JCV, so you can always send them a message that way. Just a little bit about the Nyenrode Amsterdam campus. Like I said, it's right in the middle of Amsterdam, really in the heart of Amsterdam. And it is smaller. It's a city campus, but there is like they call it the Biz Lounge downstairs, has a little restaurant. There's also a library, and we have a really nice garden here, not on the street, but in the middle courtyard. So it's a really beautiful, quiet place to sit outside. And then, like I said a bit earlier, if you're coming to the Amsterdam campus, the housing team can tell you a bit more about our domain, but that is located in Diemen, which is a little city that's kind of attached to Amsterdam. And it's not only Nyenrode students there, but it's also other students or young professionals or something. So it's a really nice way to also meet other people in Amsterdam that might be in the same boat as you. Yeah, and of course, there's tons to do in Amsterdam, and these are some of the places that a lot of the students here like to go afterwards, maybe the Café Hoppe after class. You can see a couple of nice clubs that they like to go to. And of course, it's just an absolutely beautiful city. So even if you are located on the Breukelen campus while you're with us, yeah, it's easy to get into Amsterdam, really, and you could spend weeks and weeks and weeks here and not even see everything there is to do. Yeah, and Nyenrode Amsterdam is like I said, more of a city campus, but there's also quite a lot of international students here, full-time international students. Amsterdam is a really exciting place to be a business student as well. There's just a lot of like very large multinationals here in Amsterdam. And of course, you're very well connected for the trains and the planes while you're here. And the students here really have the goal to better themselves professionally and personally. And they do that with job and internship possibilities. You can make quite some connections in the JCV. And of course, as Flora said here, Amsterdam is an international city which never sleeps. So there's always something very exciting to do. So the JCW is the Student Association in Amsterdam. And yeah, the very last point here, you see about 80% of the students that go to Nyenrode Amsterdam are a member of the association. So most of your classmates will be. It's a little bit younger than the NCV. It's still 12 years old though, so quite some time. And just like the NCV, they organize a lot of business events, fun events, lots of activities together for bonding and bettering yourself professionally, expanding your skills, like it says here. And they also do partner and have some events with some other associations and businesses in Amsterdam as well. And they also have quite a lot of boards. So they have, like we said, sports again. There's committees for events like the Gala Committee, ski committee for the ski trip in January. And then, of course, a lot of business ones as well, where more of those business related rather than fun related stuff comes from. And of course, here are some examples of events that they organize. They also have a gala. The rally is really fun with supercars, as he says here. And of course, if you are part of the JCW, you'll have some introduction days before the academic introduction in August. So lots of exciting things to do. And of course, there's sports. You can see a whole list here. Like this, I said before, there's a lot of business events, so trips, volunteering, speakers and everything. And then, of course, the bar events. So that's kind of to get to know your fellow students and have some fun together. So lots to do if you are a member. And like I said, here is the QR code for the JCW, or you can also just look up jcw.amsterdam. If you have any questions, feel free to send them a message there. Very sorry that Flores couldn't make it. But yeah, are there any questions that I didn't answer? I see Harsh has turned his audio on.
Oh, that was actually by accident. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries, no worries. So yeah, I can't answer any of your very specific questions since I'm staff and not a student part of the JCW, but like I said, look them up and let them know if you have any questions. All right, so we will move on. Oh, sorry, Harsh, yeah.
Sorry, not to interrupt, just a quick question. So in order to be part of these associations, there's a procedure, I'm assuming.
Yes, they should contact you. Since you're an incoming student, so I believe they speak with the admissions team. But if you're a bit worried and haven't heard from them, you can always contact your admissions contact. I think Olena, one of our staff members, can tell you more.
Okay.
We can't hear you, Olena. She's having some tech issues. I think she's going to tell us in the chat. But yeah, like I said, the admissions and the student associations kind of work together once you're like fully admitted to the program, and they kind of share some of that contact info with the student associations who kind of pick it up from there. And you have some introduction days for your program as well. So Olena says the JCW is invited to those, and you will definitely meet them there in person. So, but no worry, if you are worried, I will have on the last slide the contact for each program. So I'm not sure which program you're here for, but you can always send them a message and ask them for more details. So
okay, that sounds great. Yeah, I'm here for the MBA program, just for context. Great. But
MBA, okay, awesome, great. Okay, So any more questions, or shall we move on to some more practical things for all internationals? No, don't see any raised hands or anything. So I have quite a lot of practical information to share with you. So I will go hopefully not too quickly, but sort of quickly. So we don't use too much more than the hour that we have. Like I said, all of this information, the slides and our recording will be on the website later this week. So you can go back through it and use some of the links that I have put on here for more research. But let's get started. Let's see. So first I have an assignment for you, and that is what comes to mind when you think of the Netherlands? I think there's at least a few things that come straight to mind when you think of the Netherlands or Amsterdam or something like that. So maybe type a word or two for me in the chat. What do you think of when you think of the Netherlands? Tulips. Yes, Cecile. Yeah, definitely tulips. Although not tulip season anymore, it's a bit late, but they are beautiful. Anything else? No one else knows anything about the Netherlands, I doubt. Canals. Yes, definitely canals. Architecture. Yeah, definitely. Especially in the south of the city, the business district, there's some really interesting buildings to see. Yeah, definitely. Oh, those are some really cool answers, though. I like that. No one said bikes, though. Come on, guys. Everyone knows that bikes are totally a Dutch thing. Yeah, okay. Yes, there's one bikes in the chat. Windmills. No one got that in yesterday's webinar either, but yeah, you'll see all of the windmills like everywhere you go in the countryside here. They're really cool. And yeah, canals, beautiful, beautiful canals in a lot of cities, not just Amsterdam. So, okay, thanks guys. That was nice. So you're already coming to live in the Netherlands, so you might know some things already, but just quickly, I wanted to go over a few points with you. There are tons of international students in the Netherlands, and they come from all over. It's especially Amsterdam is super duper international, but as well Utrecht has quite a lot of international students at that university. So there's a lot of opportunities to meet people from all over the world. It's very, very cool place to live. And when you are speaking to others, you can speak English. The statistic is 95% of Dutch people speak English. I think it might be higher, quite honestly, but people are very, very fluent in English here. So if you need help or you're lost or something, feel free to walk up to someone and ask them in English, and 99.9% of the time it will be fine, probably 100% in Amsterdam. And the Netherlands is also a very safe country to live in. So I don't have any like specific safety things for you to think about, but just use common sense, I would say. There's always some pickpockets or something in Amsterdam, but it's a very safe place. So really nice place to live and to study. And as an expat myself, and maybe Olena will also laugh at some of this, I just have a few tips for you for navigating the Dutch culture. So the first and most famous, I guess, is that Dutch people are very, very direct. Maybe you've heard this before. But yeah, honesty is highly valued. So people want you to be honest and they want to be honest with you. But sometimes they're so honest and direct, it can seem a little rude if you're from a culture where you don't speak your mind as much or you're supposed to be a bit more polite. So if a Dutch person is telling you exactly how they feel, it's not rude. They just want you to know exactly how it is. And it's kind of nice. You don't have to guess what people are thinking or feeling. Dutch people are also quite punctual. So if you have appointments or classes, you're expected to be on time or even a few minutes early. Some cultures' time is not so exact, but here I would say try to be on time for anything you have scheduled. I don't have any specific examples of this, but if you come from a bit more of a community-based collective culture, you might see that the Dutch culture is a bit more individualistic. So it's more focused on each other, like your own person rather than the whole collective. And Dutch people are also quite open-minded. You might see a lot of like Amsterdam Pride is in a couple of weeks. So Dutch people on the whole are very progressive when it comes to equality and diversity, and you are protected in the constitution here for, no discrimination, right to your own body and things like that. So very open-minded country for the most part. And I've noticed as well that people coming from other places find the meal times here strange. It depends on where you come from. But just as a tip, yeah, breakfast is small, like bread and cheese or something in the morning. Lunch is also like cold sandwiches or just bread and cheese again. It's eaten around noon. And then dinner is usually around 6 o'clock, which is quite early for some people. But yeah, if you go out to dinner with a Dutch person, they probably want to go sometime around 6:30. So also something to keep in mind. And my last tip for you is to learn some Dutch. Like I said, most people will speak English here, but yeah, if you're living in another country, it's always nice to learn a little bit of the language, even if you just learn please, thank you, hello, something like that. Dutch people will really, really appreciate that you've put in a little bit of effort to learn the language. So hop on Duolingo or, any other website and just learn a few words before you come. More practical things for living here. When you move to a new country, you don't know anymore which stores to go to buy certain things. So I will share a few stores with you that you should know in the Netherlands. So first, where do you buy groceries? Where do you buy food? These are some of the supermarkets you can find in the Netherlands. Obviously, there's a ton. I would say the most used is Albert Heijn, the blue in the bottom left corner. And also above that is Jumbo. That's another one that you'll see everywhere and a lot of Dutch people go to. But of course, any of these places are nice. You might recognize like Aldi and Lidl already. You have a lot of choices when it comes to grocery shopping. If you're looking for toiletries and basic medicines like a painkiller or something, you need toothpaste, you need shampoo. Atos and Kruidvat are very popular and you can find them everywhere in the Netherlands. And then for basically everything else, something for your house, beauty stuff, yeah, literally anything you could want. Bol.com is cheap online shopping. So if you prefer online shopping, you have that. Action is really good for students or anyone looking to save some money. It's cheap, but you can find anything there that you could possibly want. And Hema is also a really nice store that you'll see everywhere. You can buy cute notebooks, and they also have some pretty good and cheap beauty supplies. So these are other stores to keep in mind. I will spend a few minutes talking about public transportation. It's very important, and the public transportation is very easy to use in the Netherlands, and you can go really almost anywhere that you want to. And public transportation in Dutch, it has a longer name in Dutch, of course, but you can just say OV, and people will know exactly what you mean. Good to keep in mind that the different kinds of transport are technically run by different companies. So your train ticket will not necessarily work on the bus and vice versa. So the trains are called NS. There's a longer Dutch word, but yeah, as you can see, it's quite difficult to pronounce, but NS is the train system. And then each city will have its own company for buses, metros, and trams. So in Amsterdam, you have the GVB or GVB. And in Utrecht, I know there's a few different ones, but Ulink is one of the big ones. If you take a regional bus, it's Sintus. There's a lot of different companies. But there are tickets that you can use on any of this, which I will tell you about later. And if you want to know how to get somewhere or where to go, 9292 is the recommended app, and it integrates the trains, buses, different cities, all of that. So that's a really nice app for you to download before you get here. Google Maps also works pretty well. I think most people prefer 9292, but if you like Google Maps, you can also use that. If you are taking the trains, the NS app is actually really nice and pretty up to date if you'd like to see exactly how the journey will be. And you can also buy your train tickets on the app, and it's slightly cheaper. And then, yeah, each company will have its own app as well. I live in Amsterdam, so I have the GWB app. Sometimes that's nice if there's delays, you can see them on there. So take a look at all of these apps, maybe download them and see how they are, and they will be really useful for you when you get here. And for public transportation here, you have to check in and check out, and you'll be charged for basically how long of a journey you have. So you can see in the first picture, this is a tram in Amsterdam, and the guy is checking out at the little kiosk before he leaves the tram. The next picture, you can see these kind of yellow posts for the train. And if you see these, like you'll see them in the airport. If you take a train from the airport, you have to remember to check in and out here. If you don't check in, you'll get a fine. And if you don't check out, depending on the kind of card or ticket you have, it might fine you even more. So remember to check in and out. And then in the last picture here, you can see one of the fun things when you have different companies for different kinds of transport. On the left, you have the train, and on the right, you have the Amsterdam Metro in the gray pillar. And when you are leaving the train and entering the metro, you have to check out on the yellow and check in on the gray, vice versa if you're going the other way. But a lot of the major stations will also just have a gate where you have to check in and out. So then it's impossible to not check in and out. So that's very nice too. There are lots of different ways you can buy tickets. There's always ticket machines. You can use the apps to buy tickets. We will talk first on the next slide about the OV chip card. Sometimes you can also buy a ticket when you enter the bus and tram, but do be aware that they're trying to phase that out in Amsterdam, so it might be gone by the time you're here. But now they're also phasing in checking in and out with your bank card. And I did look on their website, and it says that you can use foreign cards as long as they're like Visa and MasterCard, I believe. But as well, if and when you get a Dutch bank account, your Dutch card will work just fine for that. So that's really nice and really convenient. And then we have the OV chip card, which I think a lot of people, most people here use, I would say. I have an OV chip card. But it's really nice because it's valid throughout the entire Netherlands. So you could check into a train in Amsterdam, check out in Utrecht, check into a bus in Utrecht, and it's all on the same card. So they're really, really useful. If you keep buying single tickets, it will start to add up. The card, it does have a one-time cost of $7.50, but in the end, you will save money because the single tickets can get quite expensive. And for the most part, it works where you preload money onto your card, and you do need a minimum amount to check in. The highest one being for the trains, you need 20 euros on the card to check in for the train. But then as you use it, of course, the money will go down on your card and you'll reload it at machines. You can also, the card will have a number so you can see your travel history online with them. And I've just put here the link to their website. You can read more, but if you just search OV chip card, you will find it for sure. And it's in English as well, which is great. But as you can see, there are two colors in the picture. So what is the difference between the yellow and the blue? So the yellow is a personal OV chip card. And with this card, you can travel with subscriptions and discounts, which you can load onto the card. You can also do flex. So instead of loading money onto the card, you can just check in and out, and then you get a bill at the end of the month. So you don't have to worry about preloading stuff. Then, but it is personal to you. So your picture will be on it. You have to apply online and have it shipped to your house. So good to know that if you give it to your friend to use, and if they control the tickets in the train, that's big no-no, and they will get a fine for using someone else's yellow card. But if you want a little more flexibility, I suppose, there's also the blue card, which is anonymous. So anyone can use it. You do need to manually top up the money on it, but you can also buy it at many ticket machines or other sales locations like at big kiosks or train stations or something. So you have some options. I use the personal one, the yellow one, because I travel quite frequently on public transport. But just think about what you need, how often you want to travel, and you have quite a lot of options. And of course, it's the Netherlands, so everyone uses a bike to get everywhere most of the time. So I have a few tips for short and long-term bikes that you could get. They have an OV fiets. Fiets is the word for bike, so you can rent a bike through the day for the day through the train system. So these bikes are usually available to pick up at train stations. To do it, you will need the yellow card though, and you have to load on like a free subscription to use it. But it is the cheapest daily rental that I've seen. So $4.45 for 24 hours. But make sure you take it back to the same place that you pick it up. If you take it back somewhere else, it's a €10 extra charge. So it's quite expensive. If you're looking for a longer term rental, I would recommend Swapfiets. It's a company that does long-term bike rentals. You could even get an e-bike from them, but you do have to go to pick them up in one of the cities that you can't pick it up in Brokelen. But I would check out their website if you want to learn a little bit more. But of course, most people just buy a secondhand bike, especially if you're not here for a super long time. There's tons of bike shops. There's outdoor markets, especially in Amsterdam, where you can buy a bike. So if you have a buddy, you can ask your buddy, or you can ask any Dutch student or Dutch friend or something, and they can also tell you where's a nice place to buy a bike. Yeah, and my last tip for living here is every first Monday of the month at noon, they test the emergency system in the Netherlands. So you'll hear some kind of scary sirens and you'll get like a test message on your phone and stuff like that. But don't freak out. They're just testing it. They do it every single month. So I guess don't freak out unless it's not the first Monday of every month at noon. But it's really good to know as an international. I don't think you know unless people tell you what's going on. So yeah, keep it in mind. All right, so now we'll move on to some more practicalities like immigration, registering at the town hall. There's quite a lot to say about this, but my disclaimer, I suppose, is please go to the official websites that I link here. You'll see the most accurate information and all of the details. So most of you already have done, or maybe you don't need to do immigration procedures, but I will just give like a really quick overview of what you have to do basically just before you arrive or when you arrive. And it depends on if you need the MVV, so that entry visa or not. Most nationalities need the entry visa, but for example, if you're from Canada, the US, South Korea, you don't need this entry visa. If you do need the entry visa, you have to pick it up at the Dutch consulate or embassy near you. And at this appointment, you'll give your biometrics, which is fingerprints, photo, and signature. So you'll have an appointment there. Make sure you bring all the documents where they said in the letter from the immigration office. You do need this to enter the Netherlands. But good to know it can be used to enter the entire Schengen zone. So that's most EU countries, but look up a list just to be sure. And if you don't need the entry visa, with your passport, you can travel to the Netherlands at any time. Maybe wait until you have the visa approval though, always better. And then once you arrive in the Netherlands, you have to do the fingerprinting and everything here. So make sure that you make an appointment to do this. Within the first couple of weeks that you come here. You can't pick up your visa until this is done, which leads me into my next slide. To get the actual card, so the MVV entry visa is just a sticker in your passport. It's not valid for the whole time you're here. So you'll need to pick up the actual card from immigration, and you have to make an appointment to do this. They say that usually it's ready within or after 3 weeks after doing your fingerprinting. But of course, there can be some things that are different for every student or depending where you're from. So if you have any specific questions or you want to know more, I would ask you to please contact the admissions person or the program management of your program, and they will be able to help you a little bit more. As well, one more thing that a few students might have to do is a tuberculosis test. Most nationalities are exempted, but most Southern Asian countries, you do have to do it. So our Indian students here need to do the tuberculosis test. If you're from Pakistan, Vietnam, you'll have to do the tuberculosis test. It is mandatory to do within 3 months of arrival. So if you don't do it, we'll get angry letters from the immigration. They do keep track of this. And if you don't do this, you could be in danger of losing your residence permit. So this is really important that you're on top of this and making sure that you do the appointment. You have to bring your passport, and your program will give you the tuberculosis test form for you to take. And then it will be mailed to the immigration office once the test is done. For our Brooklyn students, you'll go to Utrecht. They have walk-in appointments. You can see the address and more information at this link. In Amsterdam, you make an appointment via the online form, and you also have the link here, which you'll have access to, of course, once this is on our website. And Olena has shared for the full-time MBA, you won't need to make an appointment for the residence permit, and you'll have more information later. That's the same with my exchange students. The immigration is sending us some information about some student pickup days, but it's not fully known yet. So, so we will inform you a little bit more about that. Harsh, you have a question?
Yeah, just a follow up on the appointment for the residence permit, since I'm a full-time MBA student. I believe I already had to go pick up the residence permit card once I, landed in the Netherlands before the program. Is that not entirely true, or is it, do I have to wait to get an email before I go pick up the residence permit?
Yeah, we will. Well, usually we get a letter that says that it's ready, but like I just said, they're trying to organize some like pickup days for students. We don't have all of the information yet. We're waiting for some more information from the immigration office, but then it sounds like Elena will be in contact with you about those pickup days. So in summary, don't worry about it quite yet, because we will contact you for more details later, and hopefully these student pickup days will make it a bit easier. You don't have to be like looking for and waiting for appointments all the time. They can get quite full. So yeah. Does that answer your question?
That does. I just wanted to, I guess, follow up on that because I know that the visa is valid for, I believe, 90 days.
Yeah, the entry visa. Yeah.
Correct.
But you also have like the approval and everything from the IND. You will definitely be able to pick it up within 90 days, but I wouldn't worry too much. You're still legally allowed to be here. Yeah, and Olena says you will get it earlier. Yeah, don't worry about the 90 days. It'll be okay. Yeah, no worries.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to continue with your registration at the municipality. In Dutch, this is called gemeente. It can also be called a town hall. Depends on what kind of English you learned. Maybe I think town hall is more American. So you must register yourself at the municipality if you're living in the Netherlands for more than 4 months. This is super mandatory. Everyone is supposed to do it, and I will tell you a little bit more about what it is. And it's important you do this because this is how you get your citizen number, your BSN, which you will need for quite a few things like making a bank account, or if you have student loans or something that's really important. So you'll make an appointment online or via the phone. It depends on which municipality you go to, which depends on where you live. And good to know they will require some or all of the following documents, but I will put links next for each municipality you might live in. So of course your passport or your European ID for the EU students, your IND information in general. You proof of residence, so that's your rental contract. At some places, like in Amsterdam, you'll need your proof of enrollment at Nyenrode, so that could be your student card, or you can get an official letter from us or something if you don't have your card yet. And then as well, not all of them, but quite a few of the municipalities require a birth certificate. So it's really important that these documents are also in English, Dutch, German, or French. And if they're not, they need to be translated and legalized. So I would start maybe looking into that as soon as possible if you don't have a birth certificate. In Amsterdam, this is not required, but at the other gemeentes, Diemen for sure is required a birth certificate. And please bring printed copies of all of the documents with you. The gemeente will want copies to keep with them. And like I said, it depends on where you live. So our Brokelen students will go to the gemeente in that area. In Amsterdam, there's a lot of locations that you can make an appointment at. So use that link to see. And then if you are living in the R campus Diemen, you will go to the Diemen municipality. It's technically a different city, although it's basically been absorbed by Amsterdam. So please use these links to see how you can make an appointment and more details about your documents and what they want to see when you go. And our exchange students probably don't need their DigiD, but maybe the full-time students do, and it's used basically to identify yourself for online government services. All you need for it is your residence permit and your BSN, that citizen number, and you can apply really easily on the website. They have to send you like a letter to confirm things, but when I made mine a couple years ago, I found it to be quite easy actually. And health insurance is compulsory in the Netherlands. Everyone needs health insurance. If you're an EU student, you can get the European Health Insurance Card, and you need to ask your insurance company. It's usually done through your national health system. So I would look into that if you haven't already. For non-EU students, check what's covered by your private insurance. Maybe they have really good international coverage. But if not, or you're not sure, or you want to be sure that you're insured, we recommend the AON student insurance. Many students have used this insurance before and recommended it, but also really good to know that if you work part-time, you are required to get the Dutch public health insurance, but otherwise you're not required to do that. And I've put a link here from the Study in NL website, which has more information for you later. Olena says for full-time MBA, your insurance should work in all of Europe and just not in the Netherlands. So you'll have to travel. So do make sure that that works for you. I will quickly go through the rest of it, Harsh, if you don't mind. We're coming up to kind of the end, and then I will take your question in just a little bit.
Yeah, no problem.
So, okay, thank you. We also recommend registering with a GP or a doctor. In Dutch, it's called huisarts. And it's important that you do this because you'll get help faster when you're sick. So all people here are registered with a doctor, and then if you get sick, you go to your doctor's office for help. And also, if you have a non-life-threatening emergency, but it's kind of urgent, you do usually need to call the doctor first to get referred to the hospital, which I will talk about that on the next slide a bit more. Here, I've just put a few examples of places that you could register yourself from things I've heard or a little bit of research, but please make sure that you look first at these places because sometimes they fill up offices and they can't take more patients, but you can always just look up huisarts and see what your options are. We also recommend registering with the dentist. Most people are registered with a dentist, and if you have a dental emergency, then you can more easily and quickly get into a dentist office. If you do have an emergency in the Netherlands, save these numbers. The emergency number is 112. There's also a non-emergency police number. So for disturbances, if it's not super urgent or life-threatening, there's also that number for you. Yeah, but if it's a medical emergency and it is life-threatening, / you need an ambulance, that's also 112. Like I said, for non-life-threatening medical emergencies, you need to call the doctor first to get referred to the hospital. If you go to the hospital, they will also be able to help you, but it's much easier and faster. There's less confusion if this happens. There is something called a house artsen post. So if you're outside of regular business hours, so on evenings or weekends, and you do need to go to the hospital, you can call the house artsen post. Sometimes they're even in the hospital themselves. But this is one of the things that can be confusing for internationals. So if you do have a buddy or a Dutch friend, they can also help you out if something happens. And then, of course, at Nyenrode, we have a 24/7 security team. And this is only on the Brooklyn campus. But of course, any Nyenrode student can call these things. They also have an emergency number, as you can see. And the security is highly trained in first aid. So if something does happen and it's not life-threatening, they ask you to call them first. They can come and help you and assess if an ambulance does need to be called. So these are really good numbers for you also to save. Save in your phone, write it down somewhere. Banking in the Netherlands is also quite easy. I recommend opening a Dutch bank account once you have your citizen number and all of that is kind of settled. Some of them you don't have to have the BSN right away, but they will ask for it, usually within 90 days. These are a few banks that I suggest. If you like online banking only, there's always Bunk. But if you would like to have a free student account, you can check ABN AMRO or ING, and they also have information in English for you. There's also a lot of other banks, but they might not have stuff in English. So unless you really want to learn some Dutch banking words, I would just go with the English banks. And then good to know that a lot of banks you can open online, but sometimes they want you to have an appointment as well in person. And they will usually ask for, definitely your citizen number. If it's a student account, they want proof of enrollment, probably your rental contract. But once you make an appointment or you check out their website, it will also give you more information about what documents you need. And just a few tips for banking in the Netherlands. When you just arrive, you won't have a bank yet. So one of the things I would personally suggest is setting up a credit card at home already, just in case you have some charges or something right when you get here, you never know. So good to have something that's accepted most places like Visa or MasterCard. Certain stores might only take Dutch bank cards, and I think this is starting to go away, but it's definitely still true. So like Albert Heijn, that grocery store I talked about, in the past, they only took Dutch bank cards or cash if it's not the self-service checkout. You won't have a huge problem with it, but just keep it in mind. Also, Tiki is really, really popular here. You can see a picture of it on the right. I would download Tiki if you're going out with Dutch people or something to dinner and someone else pays, they will say, oh, I'll send you a Tiki for your part of the dinner. So it's really easy and nice way to make quick payments between bank accounts. And then you'll also see Ideal as a way that you can make online payments, like if you're shopping online or something, and it will just go through your banking app on your phone. And it's like a really, really nice and easy way to pay online. So if you see Ideal and you have the Dutch bank account, definitely use it. And then, of course, you probably want your phone to work while you're here. Especially for non-EU students, the international packages can get really expensive. So I would recommend getting a Dutch SIM card. If you're an exchange student with a European number, maybe it's not worth it for you because you have free roaming throughout the EU. But you can get a prepaid SIM with preloaded stuff on it, or you can do mobile contracts. But the contracts, you do need a Dutch bank account and Dutch address, and they will lock you in for a year or two. although it is usually a bit cheaper than the prepaid SIM cards. And I've just listed here some of the big phone providers in the Netherlands. I know Libara is you'll see them at kiosks and stuff in Amsterdam or like at the airport. It's a cheap, easy way to get a SIM, but KPN and T-Mobile are really big providers here too. So I would check out their websites and see what's possible. And just a small tip, of course, it's illegal to text and drive or use your phone and drive, but here in the Netherlands also, it is illegal to use your phone while you ride a bike. You might see Dutch people doing it, but don't do it, because if the police see you doing it, they can pull you over and fine you. And of course, it's dangerous to not pay attention. So there's your Dutch tip. Okay, so I went through a lot of information. I tried to keep us within the time. We're a little bit over, but now is the time for any questions you might have about what we talked about. I think maybe Harsh had a question, or if anyone else has a question, you can put it in the chat, or of course you can turn on your audio. It's up to you.
So I'll be quick. So as far as the birth certificate, there's no picture on it. I just wanted to confirm that that would be okay.
Yeah, I don't think birth certificates here have pictures on them. No, they don't. So that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, great. And just as far as the schedule for like the classes, I haven't gotten an email yet, and I believe they said August. I'm not too sure. It's been a while since I've gotten that email. Would that be good enough time frame to decide the transportation between, campus and classes? Because I believe I'll be on the Demon campus. I don't exactly know the schedule yet, so I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, of course. Well, Elena says, yeah, in August you will be added to the Canvas, which is one of the programs we use. So you'll be able to see your schedule a bit more there. As well for any of the exchange students that are here, just because I know you will have access to your schedule also in, probably early August on another one of the programs in Osiris, I think. Yeah. But as far as the Demon campus, it's super well connected. So you said you're in Amsterdam campus, is that correct? Yeah. It's super well connected here. There's the Demon South stop is right there, and it has train connections and metro connections, and there's also trams and everything. So you won't really have a problem going back and forth at all, I would say. The trams come every like 10 minutes. But yeah, like Olena says in the chat, you can already kind of take a look. If you download 9292, you can put it in as if you would travel, and you could see like what's possible. Honestly, that amount of distance, most Dutch people would just bike it too. So if you are interested, it's a really nice way to get around the city. So you could also look into buying a bike while you're here.
Okay,
so,
great. Yeah, that's all for me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, really good questions. Thanks, Harsh. Glad you're here. Does anyone else have a question? Maybe I gave you so much information that you don't have any questions or you're not sure. But if you still think of something later, or there's something you're still not sure of, or you have a bit more of like a personal situation, on this slide you can see how you can contact all of the programs, or even the housing. If you have a housing question, their email is here as well. So I'll stay on for a few more minutes in case someone has any more questions. But in the meantime, thank you so much for coming today. I hope that it was helpful and it got you a little bit excited for your time here. And we really look forward to welcoming you to Nyenrode very, very soon. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Yeah. Have a nice day, everyone.